Okay, hello there, everyone. I don't really have to call out Channel 1 per se. All the time when certain news stories are not getting covered, there are other media outlets that do ignore the other stories. People ask me, Andy, why are you always targeting Channel 1? Well, yeah, they are part of the problem, but the other part of the problem is the other media outlets, the mainstream ones in New York City, that just aren't going to cover some stuff. And in fact, in this particular video, I'm titling it Ignored News Stories in Brooklyn. Yes, so for my viewers in Brooklyn, I didn't forget about you, all right? Because there's a lot of news getting ignored in Brooklyn this week that we are going to talk about. There's a lot of crime, actually, going on in Brooklyn that the media has been ignoring. So we're going to get into that in this video. We also, at the very end, we will talk about two crime stories going on in Queens. In fact, let me get rid of this tab. That way I know what I'm doing. Thank you. Yes, okay. Now I have everything organized. Now, as many of you know, I will give Channel 1 credit. They did spend a lot of time talking about fire news. And we're going to talk about that in this video as well. But again, there are other crime news that got ignored in Brooklyn as well this week. So we're going to get into that. Before we get into that, I want to give Channel 1 credit. They are talking about Mount Sinai Beth Israel. This is a very big deal in Manhattan. We got to take this story very seriously because we already lost one hospital in Manhattan a very long time ago. And now we may lose another hospital. I mean, at least the good news is regarding Mount Sinai Beth Israel. So basically what they're saying is in the Lower East Side, this hospital has to immediately stop closing beds and services without the New York State Department of Health's authority, I guess. The final say. So let's hope that this hospital does not close because the last thing you need is another hospital, which means if Mount Sinai Beth Israel gets clogged up, then that means Bellevue is going to get clogged up. And if Bellevue gets clogged up, that means Lenox Hill is going to get clogged up. And if Lenox Hill gets clogged up, then Morningside Hospital is going to get clogged up. And so will the other hospital near Central Park East. So, yeah, I don't want to spend too much time on that, alright? However, I want to get into what New York 1 is particularly ignoring in the Sunnyside apartment fire. Now, very unfortunate incident. So apparently, somebody illegally used a blowtorch in the apartment building. So let's read this. So according to what the Sunnyside Post is saying, 450 residents displaced was caused by the illegal use of a blowtorch. That's right, a blowtorch. So it was from the 6th floor of the apartment building at 43-0947th Avenue. So according to what the Sunnyside Post is reporting, it was a contractor who was using an unauthorized blowtorch to heat lead paint on a metal closet door frame inside the vacant apartment. And the workers supposedly tried to put out the flames. And then it went up the walls into a cuckold where it rapidly spread to other apartments on the 6th floor and throughout the building. Really unfortunate. And think about this. It took 4 hours to contain this fire. So, it's so unfortunate. These people have nowhere to go. By the way, that looks like Queen's DA Melinda Katz. I'm not surprised the borough president showed up, but, still, 450 people homeless before Christmas on Monday. All just because somebody used an unauthorized blowtorch. Okay, now we're going to get into the news from Brooklyn. So, yeah, you know what? Before we get into that, Let's get into the other fire news from Queens. Then we'll get right to Brooklyn, I promise. So I thought I had this organized properly. So there was an auto repair shop fire Tuesday night, Richmond Hill, Queens. So the address for this one was at 97-14 Atlantic Avenue at 10:37 p.m. So this is from a one-story brick building as part of Logan Bus Company complex. Wow. So this was a 2 alarm that was sent out. So this was transmitted at 10:48 p.m. 106 firefighters and EMS personnel, 25 units after they noticed a truck on fire in the bay preceding the heavy smoke condition. The fire was brought under control at 11:31 p.m. Searches throughout the complex yielded negative results for trapped workers. No FDNY personnel was injured. All right, so that's the good news in that one at least. And then what do we got in Ozone Park? Then we'll get right to the Brooklyn news. So look at this, same time frame. Wow, so these firefighters were really busy on Tuesday night, huh? So Tuesday was the 20th. Let's just... no, Tuesday was the 19th because today is 22nd. So let's just make that a note. So this is Tuesday the 19th. So this fire happened at a 3-story home at 101-32 102nd Street at 11:41 p.m. 60 firefighters and EMS personnel with 12 units between 101st Avenue and 103rd Avenue and a half dozen blocks east of Woodhaven Boulevard. So this fire was contained under at 2:24 a.m. No personnel or civilian injuries reported. So there you go. I mean, Channel 1 was saying this on the air last night. This is the time of the year where we do see fires getting reported. You are going to see an uptick in fire reports. Just want to close these other tabs for a second. And I am so sorry if this video was disorganized, but now we're back on track. We will get to that Kings Plaza story, I promise. We are going to talk about it. Now let's get to the news in Brooklyn. We're finally getting to that. So let's get to Greenpoint. 7 injured in a 4-alarm fire blaze in Greenpoint. So this happened at an apartment building. So this happened at 137 Kingsland Avenue just before 4 a.m. It's happened this morning. Look at that. Flames rapidly spread through the building and into neighboring homes. Residents fled onto the street, some waking up their neighbors as they went out of the apartment building. So, one witness said, "I'm only alive because my neighbor began banging on my door screaming fire." More than 160 firefighters and EMS personnel responded to the scene with structural concerns inside the building forced firefighters to take a defensive position. After more than 3 hours, the blaze was finally brought under control before 7 a.m. 7 people, including 2 firefighters, were injured. 2 civilians refused medical attention on the scene, while 3 others were transported to local hospitals by ambulance. The 2 firefighters were brought off to Wyckoff Heights Medical Center. The exact nature of the injuries were not immediately known. The cause of the fire is not yet known and will be determined by the fire marshal. According to city records, the Department of Buildings will investigate the structural damage of the home and neighboring buildings at 135 and 139 Kingsland Avenue, as both were affected by this fire. Ooh, and then look at this. Complaints filed with the Department of Buildings in 2022 state that the second floor of 137 Kingsland Avenue have both illegally converted into 2 apartments, though records show the inspectors were not able to gain access to the home during an attempted visit. Inspectors were also denied entry after complaints about a conversion and about illegal waste and water lines and a gas stove in the basement per DOB documentation. Alright, and then let's get to this one in Gowanus. 3-alarm in Gowanus. So this happened yesterday morning. So it's a 3-alarm fire that was transmitted 10:45 a.m. at 143 9th Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenue to find heavy fire emanating from the 1st and 2nd floor of a 100-year-old 3-story wood-frame dwelling. The fire then spread to the neighboring building at 145 9th Street. At around 11:15 a.m., units responded that the fire had been extended to the 3rd floor of the building. A 3rd alarm was called at about 11:35 a.m. and more than 120 firefighters remained on the scene operating 3 hose lines in an effort to knock down the fire. Just before noon, members were withdrawn from the building in favor of a defensive fire attack. Firefighters are currently operating a tower ladder to knock down the main body of fire. Kate Bishop, owner of Principal's Coffee House next door to the fire, said she was evacuated as the blaze swiftly grew out of control. So, yep. Okay, thankfully the good news is no reported injuries to residents, but 2 minor injuries to FDNY personnel. So the fire was deemed under control at 12:39 p.m. yesterday afternoon. Okay. So I do have 2 more fire news that we are going to get into, because there was actually another fire in Brooklyn last night. The media actually did cover that one, so I will find something about it. Apparently nothing on the Brooklyn Papers website. Alright, so let's take a look at this one in a Brooklyn home. Is this the same? Oh, okay, this is a different one. Oh, it actually happened this morning. Look at that. So there was a fire in East Flatbush this morning. 292 East 92nd Street, 8:25 this morning. FDNY members quickly deployed 2 hose lines to knock down the main body of the fire. Oh man, this house looks like a mess. Probably a lot of debris in that house. Oh boy. So at least the good news is the fire only lasted an hour. Was anybody hurt? Okay, good. Nobody was trapped. Yeah, but look at that. Wow. Folks, look at this picture very closely. That's actually ice. That's actually ice. This definitely happened this morning. Because the temperature this morning, below at Central Park, from what I was able to see this morning, was 26 degrees. That's definitely ice. No question. Because it was really cold this morning. Wow, look at that. So I knew I had to do a deep web search, but apparently last night, there was a fire. Another fire in Williamsburg. Yes, the media actually covered this one. There was actually a Citizen app video of this one. So, Saptar Matzah Bakery on Broadway in Williamsburg is on fire. And believe it or not, this is not the first time this year that they have had an incident. I actually had to do a web search on Google. Now, there was no other information other than what I found on X. But apparently, there was another fire that broke out at Saptar Matzah Bakery in Brooklyn back in March of this year. So this isn't the first time they've had an incident. So there you go. I mean, that's all the fire news I could give you in Queens. So we have about 6 more articles we're going to read here. So I'm just making sure I have everything organized here. Alright, so let's get into what happened at the Kings Plaza Mall, which this one got ignored by the media. So apparently, there was a bomb threat at the Kings Plaza Mall. And not only that, what's going on at Kings Plaza Mall, but the migrants who have been housed at Floyd Bennett Field have actually been making their way up to the mall, and they've been panhandling outside on Kings Highway and Flatbush Avenue. And not only that, but they're also panhandling inside the mall. Which, you know, Eric Adams has really caused a problem in this. You know, usually Mill Basin's a pretty quiet area in most cases. Not anymore, it seems. So this happened on Tuesday, right? Happened on Tuesday? Yes, okay. 11:22 a.m. There was a phone call that was made to 911 at 11:22 a.m., after which the mall went into immediate evacuation protocol. The NYPD emergency service and bomb units cleared the building and found no evidence of any bomb inside the mall. Still, hundreds of shoppers and mall workers were evacuated out of an abundance of caution. As of 12:30, shoppers and workers were given the all clear to head back into the mall. Though some said they were scared by the evacuation, others lauded first responders for their swift handling of the situation. Margaret Lewis, a regular shopper at the mall, said, "The police came rushing in asking us to leave in an orderly fashion." Well, we'll say this. I mean, busy shopping time. I mean, who would do such a thing? I mean, really. And now let's get into what's going on at the 88th precinct, which this got ignored by the media as well. Kids mugged at playground. So where did this happen? December 5th in the Clinton Hill section of Brooklyn. 3 12-year-old boys were mugged by masked men who stole $20 from cash. Unbelievable. The boys told cops they were at Cypress Atticus Playground at 4 p.m. when a group of men in their ski masks grabbed them and forcibly removed the small amount of cash they had in their pockets. One of the boys says he was punched in the face by the perps who fled westbound on Fulton Street. They've yet to be identified. And then look at this. I mean, all the crime, I'm telling you, I hate to say it, folks, for you folks in Brooklyn, overall crime per capita, I hate to say it, it's going to end up in Brooklyn the first 3 months of the new year. I'm calling it now, because look what we got here. A bike theft in Clinton Hill, a knife attack on a downtown subway platform at Fulton Street on the G line. This happened on December 6th. So the man was just minding his own business, and 2 men with butcher knives just showed up. I mean, you really cannot make this stuff up. I mean, I really don't know how things are going to end up in Brooklyn. So we got 2 more we're going to read from Brooklyn, and I got 2 quick stories I'm going to read from in Queens to wrap up this video. So here we go. Coney Island fistfight ends with a man shot in the stomach. Where in Coney Island did this happen? Oh, it actually happened on Sunday. Look at that. According to police sources, officers from the Brooklyn 60th Precinct rushed to a community pharmacy at 2913 Surf Avenue at 3:30 a.m. after they received reports of a fistfight outside of the storefront. Authorities say the altercation apparently rapidly escalated into gunfire. When officers arrived, they discovered a 43-year-old man laying on the ground in a pool of blood with a gunshot wound in the left side of his abdomen. While cordoning off the area, investigators recovered 2 shell casings near the man was gunned down. Police said the victim was rushed to Langone Hospital, Brooklyn after undergoing surgery. He is listed in stable condition and is expected to survive. Law enforcement said the male perpetrator may have fled the scene of the shooting westbound on Surf Avenue. And according to the 60th Precinct, they do not have a description of the gunman at this time. Obviously, no arrest, ongoing investigation. So there you go. I mean, another day in New York City where criminals can just get off scot-free. No surprise there. And then look at this. Shooting in a subway. Utica Avenue. Yes. This happened on Thursday night. Here we go. A 45-year-old man sustained a gunshot wound in the arm when a 29-year-old man was shot multiple times in the chest near Malcolm X Boulevard and Bainbridge Street in the Bedford-Stuyvesant section at 9:45 p.m. Following the shooting, the 2 men ran into the Utica Avenue subway station where they alerted authorities about the incident. Oh boy. Bet the station has a heavy police presence. So the good news is the victims were taken to Kings County Hospital. They are in stable condition, so that's good. The suspect, meanwhile, fled the scene before police could detain the shooter. Yep, no arrest, ongoing investigation. So there you go. I mean, telling you folks, the beginning of 2024 is going to be doom and gloom. I hate to say it, but unless Albany was willing to change their ways with bail reform in April, which I doubt they will, you know, we're going to have to keep talking about the same repeated pattern of crime. Alright? And trust me, I'm going to come back here in the new year for you folks in Brooklyn. I will be back here at some point in January. When your crime numbers come out, we're going to go over how bad things are getting in Brooklyn. Because I'm telling you, You think Manhattan has the most felony assault cases? I'm telling you, it's now going into Brooklyn. It could be an even tie between Manhattan and Brooklyn, but yet we're seeing felony assault cases go up in Queens this month. Go figure that out. Alright, so let's get into 2 more stories and then we're going to wrap up this video. So let's move on to Queens, which Queens has been pretty quiet. I will say that. Besides the fires we've been getting, overall, things have been somewhat quiet in terms of the news cycle. So that's why I was only strictly focusing on Brooklyn. So let's get into this. Armed burglars shoot man during heist of a Queens jewelry shop. So when did this happen? Oh, happened last Tuesday, the 12th. So this happened at 3535 Junction Boulevard. 4th perpetrator acted like a lookout. Oh, boy. While inside, the suspects began... Oh, wait a minute. We already talked about this one. Alright. Right, we already covered that in a different video. Let's actually go to this one here. Yes. Scooter rider rams bike into cop in Corona, remains on the loose 2 weeks later. Police from the 115th Precinct in Jackson Heights are looking for a scooter rider who allegedly assaulted an NYPD officer in Corona and remains at large 2 weeks later. So this happened at broad daylight at 2:20 p.m. on Friday, December 8th, when a uniformed cop attempted to stop the scooter rider who was driving recklessly on Junction Boulevard by 37th Avenue. The rider allegedly refused to stop and rammed the officer with his scooter, causing a laceration to his leg. The suspect then fled the scene eastbound on 37th Avenue. The injured officer was taken to NYC Health Elmhurst Hospital, where he was listed in stable condition with trauma to the leg. Okay, so we do have a video of the suspect. He was wearing a black hooded winter jacket, blue jeans, and white and blue sneakers. Through December 17th, the 115th Precinct has reported 462 assaults this year, 60 more than the 402 reported at the same point last year. So, yeah, Eric Adams can brag that, oh, I'm trying to fight crime, man. I'm trying to make things look sexy for New York City. No, you're not. No, you're not, Eric Adams. Bet this guy's probably one of the migrants. Wouldn't surprise me there. I see him all the time in Bayside. So we're going to quickly go to Laura Uli's page, which there have been other stories that have been getting ignored. There was a shooting in Jamaica back on December 14th, so last Thursday this happened. There was a shooting at Merrick Boulevard in Jamaica at 9 p.m. on December 14th. One suspect was in custody right by Archer Avenue. So the victim was taken to a nearby hospital. Bullet victim confirmed. Commuters waiting for public transportation went into cover. A witness stated that this was a drive-by shooting targeting the bullet victim, so probably gang-related. And then look at this, carjacking in Flushing. 45th Avenue in Flushing reporting a carjacking by 145th Street. 2 suspects, male black, displayed a weapon, approached the victim of a Honda Odyssey, and pushed out. They took off with the vehicle towards Sanford Avenue. So, yep. And then look at this. There was a car fire last week. I remember this because Vicky Palladino was the first to actually notify everybody about this one. Because this is her city council district. So, there was a really bad car fire southbound, which affected traffic last week. I forget what day this was, but, yep. Really bad, folks. A lot of news just gets ignored. Oh, and then look at this. There was a stabbing in Astoria. This happened, last Saturday. Police responded to a stabbing victim at 4:30 last Saturday. No, it was Sunday. Right, it was Sunday. Ravenswood Playground by 34th Avenue and 21st Street. EMS took the victim to a local hospital. So there you go. Oh, and then look at this. Look what's going on Little Neck. Luxury vehicles missing. Wow. I mean, this is insane. I mean, the criminals could just, again, the criminals get away with anything here in New York. And then car robbery, 64th Street, 228, 64th Avenue, 228th Street. BMW stolen. I mean, this is what we're facing in the new year, folks. Drive-by robberies in Flushing. There's another one in Ridgewood. I mean, what else is there to say right now? What else is there to say? I'm going to scroll up here. Yep. A BMW stolen. Prince Street near Main Street. Multi-vehicle accident ignored in Jamaica. Yep. Brewer Boulevard and Conduit Avenue. Okay, this is Springfield Gardens. By the way, I want to thank Laura for this. So we do actually have a picture of the office incident that occurred right by the 111 precinct. Believe it or not, Laura was able to get a picture from the Crime Stoppers unit at NYPD. So here it is right here. That we talked about this a couple of videos ago. About what happened in Bayside at that Chinese restaurant. Yep. Okay, just want to see if I can find anything else. Yep, burglaries are going up in Queens. Yeah, it's really bad on Long Island, too. I mean, not just, here in Queens, but a lot of news gets ignored on Long Island, too, which Pine Power Live does a good job covering most of it. But let me see if I can scroll up here. Yep. Look what's going on in Bayside. Look what's going on in Bayside. So this is how we're going to wrap up this video. Let's talk about the most recent news, not Bayside, Belrose, excuse me. Meant to say Belrose, because I'm just so disgusted with the crime. 2 blocks on Belrose reported larcenies and burglaries in the last couple of days. According to several residents, they were approached for yard cleanups by walking suspects. Then down the line, items went missing from homes after burglaries were reported. So there you go. I mean, people could just walk into your home unsuspectingly, and guess what? They can just take your stuff. All right? This is why you got to be careful. Somebody looks fishy, don't invite them in. I mean, that's the bottom line. There you have it. I mean, I know I was talking a lot about what was going on in Brooklyn. And, again, I want everybody to understand that we're really facing tough times ahead. It's only going to get worse. I've been saying it. It seems like I'm a repeating record year after year after year after year. All right? We're always facing this problem. The Democrats just sit there and do nothing, while us common sense folk like me, Vicky Palladino, who else can I name on the top of my head that's actively trying to serve us? I mean, yeah, you could say Curtis Lee was out there. I mean, he's taken a look at everything, and, we gotta hope and somewhat pray that Eric Adams is not facing indictment, because Mr. New Yorkers Love Me is thinking about running for mayor. And if Andrew Cuomo gets back into power, we're doomed. We are really doomed. All right? Because basically, you have a ranked choice election. You wouldn't have Democrat-Republican primaries. You'd be doomed. So we got to hope that Eric Adams, I hate to say it, can make it one more year. And then once we get to 2025, then Sliwa can run again, which I'm hoping he does, please, because somebody's got to clean up this mess. I mean, it feels like we're back in the 70s and the 80s all over again. It certainly feels like that, So please, folks, just stay safe during the holidays, because buckle up. We are in for a very rough ride in 2024, I feel. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to end the video.